I understand we do have a guest on standby. I'm not quite sure who exactly, but I'm sure we are joined this afternoon by the head election programs, Yaga Africa, Paul James. He joins us live from Oka, the Anambra State capital. Paul, good to have you with us. Perhaps you could share with us what exactly you are seeing on ground and what exactly your team have also are feeding you on ground with.
Afternoon, and thank you for inviting me. The atmosphere in Anambra has been calm so far since the commencement of polls in the morning. But to tie to what some of the speakers on the call are already saying or experiencing based on what we're seeing from the election, the challenge today has shifted from the challenge that we had envisaged before the polls to the challenge of the Independent Electoral Commission deploying to polling stations. As of 7:30 this morning, based on the data that we had received from our observers, it shows that only 17% of polling units had Inec officials. And by 9:30 this morning, based on the data, only 30% of polling units had opened. In fact, by 12:18 this afternoon, the reports we received from Anambra North had indicated that most of the polling units in that LGA had not opened. And so we thought that INEC would have learned from the lessons of the other election it had conducted, especially the last election in Anambra in 2017, where as of 7:30 in the morning, only 28% of polling units had opened. So we thought they would learn from that lessons and deploy early. It might be too early to begin to apportion blame. This might be beyond INEC, we don't know yet, but then we are also still carrying on our own observation based on this. We don't know what may have happened between INEC and the transport company, but to say that polling units are still opening late in this country, for me, I think it's a major setback. Also, based on expectation, we have seen also commitment and enthusiasm on the part of voters to engage the process. Across most of the polling units that we had deployed, voters went early and waited for officials to come and administer the elections in those polling units. Now, this is an election that is happening and that is supposed to open up atmosphere that guarantee more access to polling units. Before the election, INEC had announced that it had increased the number of polling units in Anambra from 4,608 to 5,720, indicating that it had introduced 1,112 new polling units. But before the election, INEC had announced that 86 of these polling units had 0 voters, so there will not be election in those polling units. For some polling units that had opened, we see some places that had only about 4 registered voters. Those polling units opened. In another location that had only 1 registered voter, the polling unit did open. And so the challenge, by and large, had remained for the Anambra election, the challenge of late commencement. As we speak, by 1 p.m., just before I get on this call, that was when we started receiving reports of polling units opening across most of the local government. Yeah, so the challenge remains, the challenge of late commencement like we saw in 2018, it is still here in Anambra. So we expect that with this experience, INEC will extend the time of voting because officially, voting is supposed to end at 2:30 p.m. or until when the last person on the queue had voted. So we expect that INEC, seeing what had happened across all the LGAs, will at least allow voters to go out and exercise their franchise by extending the time of voting. Now, this is also an election that INEC has also is trying to increase the transparency and integrity of the election by introducing the bimodal voter accreditation system. This is the first time that this device has been deployed for a statewide election. Based on reports that we have also been receiving from some location, there have been reports of malfunctioning of the device in some location. In some places, the device also not functioning at all. The INEC have been responsive and have been trying to fix the problems, but it has been causing unnecessary delay to the process. In some places, it takes an average of about 30 minutes to process a voter. So with all of these issues that are constituting delays to the process, we hope that our call for the extension of time for voting will be heard by INEC so they can allow the people of Anambra to come out to exercise their franchise in the elections.
That call official and who exactly it was directed to in INEC?
Of course, the technical committee in INEC that is responsible for the election, the operations committee in INEC that is also responsible for the deployment in Anambra. I'm sure they have their own situation room and will also be monitoring what is happening on ground in Anambra State here. So based on, like I said, what we had envisaged or anticipated before this election, we had thought that it's going to be the other way around, but we are seeing commitment, like I said, on the part of voters to engage the process. So voters should be allowed and given that opportunity to truly come out to engage the election. So INEC need to step up its game. They need to fix whatever challenge that had been experienced this morning, and then also extend the time for voting to allow voters to participate.
So I wonder just what your projections are, since we do have a large number of residents of Anambra State coming out to vote in this particular elections. If they keep coming out as one expects, do you think the 40%, what do I call it now, 40% of the registered voters, do you think that's percentage can be broken, that record can be broken to have more than 40%?
Well, that would be a tall order for Anambra. That is what everybody expects. We hope that happens so that Anambra can set a new record in elections in the state. If you go by history, since 2010, the election in the state have not crossed the boundary of 25-26%. In 2013, it was in the region of 23%. 2017, 21-22%. And then for the presidential election, although it was as up as 26%, we thought we would get a new narrative in this election, but with all of the things that we have seen happen in the last few days in the state, I am not sure we are going to attain 40%. But if we're able to achieve 30% at least, or 35%, that will be a new record for elections in Anambra State.
I wonder if you're getting any feeders about the money bags in politics, because that's the kind we practice at the moment, money politics. Any issues of vote buying and selling? Because that's what it is in our political terrain at the moment.
So this, because of the sort of issues that happen in the build-up to the election, most of the engagement with political parties, between political parties, their supporters and their supporters happen in close quarters. So it is difficult to track what sort of arrangement they may have had before they engaged the election. In a few places that we were able to observe in the build-up to the election, we saw money exchange hands as little as 1,500, and in some places also distribution of wrappers to woo voters. As of this morning, it might be difficult to track, like I said. Some of these may have happened before voters will have come to the polling unit. And also, let us not also be unmindful of the issue around community collusion. Some negotiation may have happened with some persons within the community, and they may have decided the way they want voting in their own community to go. So it might be too early to track, like I said, but not that I know of, no serious incident of vote buying had been reported to us by our observers yet. We are still collecting reports, and then we hope to share our updates at the end of polls later today. So if there are any of such incidences, we'll definitely let the people of Nigeria to know.
Paul James, head of election programs, Yaga Africa. Just stand by. We'll check in with you very quickly. Let's get some reactions here from our Lagos studios. Gentleman Emeka, I wonder what your thoughts are about some of the issues that he has raised.
I think the major issue he has raised is that the expectation that the voter turnout, what the voter turnout will be, whether it will actually get to 20%, given the prevailing situation. I think he said the most that got was 23% in previous elections. So, but with the way things are going, well, if we get 15, 18, 20%, well, it will still be a fair game. But it's also a lesson to us
but will that tell the story of the fact that did the people of Anambra vote this person? If only just 10, 15%, 10, 15%, can we say the people of Anambra would have spoken if we see only 10, 15%?
In Borno State, some elections held in the IDP camps. They were not held in those very areas. And so results were collected and declared. So the point is this: INEC has there are set parameters. There are set parameters according to the Electoral Act on which INEC can declare results of the election.
All right.
Well, we're talking about voter apathy or voter interest. We know it's a general problem in Nigeria. So let's hope it gets, is an appreciable, there's an appreciable turnout, because 10% will be 250,000 voters. 20% will be 500,000 voters. That's
against the 2.5.
2.5, yeah, 2.5
registered.
Yeah, 2.5 million that registered. But of course, you see the major problem that INEC couldn't move some voters to couldn't transfer their registrations to new polling units. That's a major problem. So what it means is that those people will have to look for their names elsewhere. But well,
we can see. I wonder what your thoughts are, because our correspondent Dele is standing by. We'll speak to him very quickly, but let's hear your reaction.
One thing there is that in this election, upon all what has happened before this election, but I am still expecting that we are still going to have above 20%. If we cannot have above 20%, then this is not an election that the majority of people have spoken. If you have about 4,055,048 residents in a particular state, and only about 2.5 registered, and at the end of the day, you are now having less than 20% of that particular number determine who becomes governor. Although in this particular state we have a situation in which 77,000 people choose who becomes their governor, but this time around we are looking up to over 200,000, over 20%. But one thing that is important there is that I think INEC also needs to really work on the issue of BVAS, and at the same time the extension of time. They should not say, because for instance now, according to James now, he said about past 12, that is when you have some certain polling units just start. Then what did you expect? Automatically the hours that have been wasted from 8:30 to about 12:30 must also be regained. What it means is that the election across all the polling units, about 5,720 units that we have, polling units that we have, automatically we are not seeing the end of this election until about 4, 5 or thereabouts.
All right, so I think collectively that's a deal we are making, and we're calling out to the Independent National Electoral Commission. Of course, the national chairman is right there in Awka, the Anambra State capital, and all the national commissioners. We're calling you out because you need to extend that time if your officials were not on ground as at 8:30 when accreditation and voting were supposed to commence. We're calling you out to extend that because the people of Anambra State need to exercise their franchise. They need to exercise their rights to vote. So that's a clarion call to the INEC officials. We hope that you heed that call, especially from election observers who are also on ground. This is Election Watch, and of course it's election day in Anambra State. It's a special live coverage of the elections. Let's take a breather. We'll be back in just a moment.